Hi there. Last month I caught up with my friend John Moss of Culture Club at the Horns in Watford. If you haven't seen the first part of that interview, check it out down here. Otherwise, please enjoy the second part. Cheers. I'm off to do a bit of gardening. In terms of becoming a successful drummer, is it the act of playing drums that really inspired you, or was it the idea of being in a band because it's great?
I don't know. You know, when you start,
fame and fortune,
when I start playing drums, I mean, the thing with me, it wasn't like I've had a lot of friends I know when they were younger. You know, they were really. A friend of mine called Tony Burke, haven't seen for a while, but he's an amazing drummer, real technical. I mean, fantastic. He would sit there for hours and hours and hours of practicing, and that was his buzz. Yeah. You know, he would really get that. For me was no. You know, no, I could do all the Motown stuff, and everybody says, "Oh yeah, it's great. Sounds just like it." But when you actually listen to it, and a friend of mine will come along and say, "Actually, it's this." You go, "Yeah, you're right, but so what?"
But that's the way I do it.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, for me, it was more just, you know, just wanting to be in a band, play.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't so much about drums; it was about playing drums.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, got you exactly. But what about this other thing about drummers being more intelligent? Apparently, I've heard the opposite.
Is that drummists? You know, are black people better at dancing?
Well, I don't know why people are doing these investigations at the moment.
It's just a lot of
universities.
I mean, my experience, sometimes the more talented the person, the less intelligent they are. That's why they're so talented. Depends on what field, because they're almost autistic. Interest in what they're doing at the expense of everything else. Yeah. But there again, I've known guitarists who are amazing, but I mean, I wouldn't want to I wouldn't have lunch with them, you know what I mean? It'd be like,
the drummers have quite a fraternity, don't they? I mean, there seems to be.
Well, I think, I'll tell you a story that relates to that, right? Years ago, I went to this party in Kensington. It was in one of those houses that had very, very high ceilings. It's quite now. I'll tell you something. I'm 5'6". I walked into this room, right, and these people were enormous. Huge, hi, John. They're standing up like that. It's like Land of the Giants. So anyway, I'm in this room and I'm getting lost, you know. And I find this is true, right? I find this door. I open this door, and there's all these short, dark people in this room, right? And they all laugh as I walk in. And it was some of the Iranian people, obviously, a bit smaller and darker. And they'd all sort of huddled together in this room.
They'd all gone in there because everyone else was so tall.
So I think it's a bit like that. It's a bit like that with drummers, you know. If you're around people and, you know, people talk. I mean, I've been to people that talk about Phrygian thirds or whatever the fuck they're talking about. But you can hate each other. Because the trouble with drummers, they can be incredibly competitive. Yeah. I mean, I've done jam nights, you know, when it's not cool. Yeah. Somebody will get up and they're going, "Hey, can you do that? Well, you can do that one, but you can't do that one," you know. And it's like, and then when you're playing, they're going, "Oh, you know," and it's like that.
And there's nothing more unnerving if you're at one of those jam nights and you're playing away and there's two guys who you know are drummers and they're looking over like that.
I don't care because I'm better than them.
And they're even whispering.
No, I don't care. I'm better than them. I don't care. Seriously, and everybody knows it. I'm better looking and everything. So fuck you.
What would you say is your best moment that you can remember from your career?
One of the best moments has got to be. I mean, it's not relevant nowadays. But in the old days, you'll understand this, is getting to number one. It sounds pathetic now. Yeah. But having a number one record, you know, in 1982, so we've just gone past the 70s, when it's the height of Top of the Pops and this, you know, when it's so important, you know, that's something. Yeah. You say, I remember saying to my father, you know, I'm going to have a number one record. He says, 1 in a million. And I said, well, I'm the one. I said, somebody's got to do it. And now it's 1 in a billion or it's 1 in 3, depending on which way you want to look at it. But, and, you know, I remember I was in his room in Edinburgh, I remember. Guy came in, you know, one of the tour band or whatever it was. He said, "You're number one." I went, "Fine, get up," you know, jumping up and down the room naked, you know, pouring champagne over myself, thinking.
I was going to say, how did you celebrate?
Well, I don't know where the champagne, but I think it was all one of those things. But I mean, you know, I mean, it was a real achievement, you know, it's a real achievement, you know. But then, then you've done it. Yeah. You know, and that's something you learn. It's like I've got really sick of football because, you know, even if your team's doing really well, you know, you win the Champions League, you win the FA, which my team don't, unfortunately. But when that happens, it's like, and you go out, you know, and I don't drink anymore, but it's an excuse to get really pissed and everything. A day later, it's like, right,
so where can we go?
So what do we do now?
When we do that again.
So there's that, but that was obviously one of the highlights.
Who's your team?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay. Mine's Watford.
My team's Bottenham Hotspurs. Anyway, we don't want to get into football. It's about drums, right? Maybe they're similar.
I suppose there's so many. I mean, is there any particular?
I'll tell you. I think playing Madison Square Gardens. Yeah. Because it's Madison Square Gardens. What's really weird is it's actually not big. For some reason, I thought Madison Square Gardens.
It just sounds big.
Massive. Yeah, you know, Madison Square Gardens. A huge place, you know, massive, 100,000 people. I think it's like 8,000 people. Yeah. But, you know, I think something like that Especially in those days, you know, when you think, fuck, I'm playing Madison Square Garden.
Again, it's the number one, isn't it?
Played 10 nights there, you know what I mean? And I think that's, okay, right. Okay. High point. Coming off the plane in New York, right, having all people everywhere, like the Beatles. It was like the Beatles, right? Getting into a car, being driven to the hotel. Off the plane, into car, hotel. People everywhere.
That must be pretty good.
That's pretty good. Also, that's all coming now. I think, you know, somebody saying you are the biggest band in the world. Now, I mean, that's because we were the biggest band in the world at one point. Even if it's for a fleeting moment, it's still not a bad achievement. You know, and I think that when you've started it from nothing, to be honest with you, when you start it from nothing, it's something you always wanted to do. And you know, it's like with friends, and they always say, oh yeah, right. And I saw my friends sort of start to get proper jobs and do this and do that. And you start thinking, oh God, you know, I'm going to be one of them. And you know, your mate is 10 years older than you, and he's drinking special brew, and he's on the front of a car most of the time going, you know?
I suppose there's always that feeling that they're going to think that I've changed because of this.
No, it's not that. I tell you what it is in this business. There's no middle ground, basically. You can't. I mean, few people can. You can't really make a living in the music business. You either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those. No. There's no middle management. You know, there's no middle management.
Well, someone once said to me, there's this fallacy that you can actually hold down the day job, and then if you work hard enough in your spare time, you'll suddenly make it. But actually, it's got to be 100%, hasn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, you've got to be able to up sticks and go, which is what a lot of people can't handle.
I mean, I think it works. I think the exception to the rule was possibly Dire Straits, wasn't it? I think they did suddenly. I mean, they did have day jobs, and they were touring a lot.
You can do that, but again, it's like your luck. You make your own luck.
What about the drum techs? How important are they to you necessarily?
They fucking drive you mad. They drive you mad. Because you say, right, can I have that there? They go, all right, John.
Did you have one with Culture Club there? Well, you must have done.
I'll tell you the worst thing ever happened to me, right? I got to America, right, and Slingerland had started up again. And they went, hi, John. I went, oh, hello, you know, anything about this? I said, got a kit for you. Beautiful kit. Lovely, fantastic kit. The guy from Sabin came along and said, here's your cymbals. It's like, wow. I didn't know about this. Fantastic. So, anyway, we're doing this gig. I can't remember where it was. And playing away. I have 3 toms. Tom falls off. First number. Boom, he rolls off the stage. Fucking hell, you know. I'm playing away, and I see my drum tech sort of creeping up below me. He's like this, and he's got it. You know, he's got the tom.
He's actually got it, and he's holding it.
He's holding it. I'm going, fuck off. I don't want you to sit there holding this tom. And also, Joe was a bald guy, and his head was a little bit like the tom.
So you could have missed him.
Yeah, you know, and then we put it on again. It had one of those first ball joint things. We put it on again, and it was slipping. It was like a comedy show, you know.
Because they used to be quite crap fittings, didn't they?
Well, you weren't used to being a drummer, as you know, you over tighten everything. You're like, I mustn't.
And then the thread goes, and then it goes.
Well, these you mustn't over tighten. This is really fascinating stuff, I'm sure, guys. You know. So that was horrible. Drum techs on the whole, I've had some great ones, but you know, people have their own characters. So when you say, I want it like that, and they think, oh, no, he doesn't. You know, that's not really the best place
I think he'd rather prefer it.
He'd rather prefer it like that, and they go, like, fucking, why have you done that? So, all right, you know. So and you always think, why are they doing this? I wouldn't do that. Tell me to fuck off. You know what I mean? I wouldn't.
If you had any advice to give people starting out playing drums today, what would you say?
Make sure you do a law degree.
So you got something.
No, just bear in mind, right, that, you know, before you go out with that band, you do your 1-year law degree at least, you know. Because I think nowadays it's harder and harder. I think you've got to have something to fall back on. Because the only thing I regret is that, you know, if I'm not touring, I'm not doing this, it can get a bit weird sometimes. I'm not really quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think that if you've got some sort of possible career or something,
that's what folks used to say to me, make sure you get a degree
well,
first.
I'm a parent now, so I'm just turning into my parents, aren't I? But I think, you know, the trouble with doing music, especially being in a band, is like if you're a continuously touring band, a sensible band.
Yeah.
No, Duran, they're amazing. They keep going. You know, they might hate each other, take a year off. If you're doing that, then it is a career.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, it's not a career.
Or sometimes you may hate it after a while and want to do something else.
Exactly.
And
it's not a career. And sometimes you can find yourself wanting to do it, but not really knowing what to do. Of course, you're out of sync with everybody who's got normal jobs. Yeah. Now, that's the curse.
Mum knows best.
Mum knows best. Mum knows best.
So how did it all actually start for you?
Yeah. I think the writing was on the wall. A friend of mine, I was going to a friend of mine's, and they had a very expensive acoustic guitar. So I sort of pick it up and go, oh, fuck, that's too hard. Turned it over.
And that's the
playing it. You know, if you got it there, it's sort of a bit like, you know, congas, you go boom boom kit, boom boom kit. Of course, I broke it.
Oh right,
broke it, and you know, Mum came round and there was a big argument about it. And anyway, so that was when it started. And then I had this sort of beaten up old piano, and again, I was like, I can't play that.
Because piano's percussive anyway, isn't it?
It's percussive. So every song you write to the Beach Boys, it's ding, ding, ding. Brother used to play drums.
Yeah.
So he was probably 15, 16. I was probably 13, 14. And in the afternoons, I come back earlier than him from school. I sort of go up there and say, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know how you started playing drums. It's not like, I want to have a go on that.
You're drawn to it.
You're drawn to it. And when you sit down, it's the weirdest thing. When you sit down, you don't know what you're doing from Adam. And you pick up the sticks and I just knew what to do. I'm not saying I was great. And that was it.
So you naturally,
I knew.
All of a sudden you picked up your life.
I knew. As soon as I sat down on that kit, I can remember in my mind's eye now, it's a cheap old, I don't know, Ajax or something. But I remember sitting down on that kit and going, and like some people don't have the faintest idea, but I remember just sitting down like that, most of my feet going on the pedals, and they're going like that, and going, that was it.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. People say to me now, if you're bored, why don't you get a hobby? And I said, well, my hobby became my living.
Yeah.
Because all I did when I was wasn't at school and stuff, is I made across the road. All we did on the weekends
was just
do
the
parties. I couldn't wait to play, and I used to carry the drums out, and I said,
It's like me and a mate of mine, Mace Carnican, we formed a band called Stendek when we were quite young at school. And had a bongo drum to start with. He had a piano at home, and we just used to do that.
For me, it was a good thing to have because it actually stopped me. I smoked dope and everything, but I wasn't terrible or anything like that. I wasn't great at school. But it was, if I hadn't had that, I'm not quite sure. Well, maybe I would have done some work.
Maybe you would have become a lawyer.
I was supposed to be a barrister, but never mind about that. I was supposed to go to Cambridge. I tell you, the worst thing about drumming is that you suddenly realise that you've got to do it yourself, but you're always going to be reliant on other people.
Yeah.
For your pleasure, a bit like a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very hard to be.
Because you can't play the drums on your own.
Well, you see, I know some people who do. I know some people who do, and they're obsessed, and they're scary. And I'm not joking. I just know one guy, and he was very good, but he'd come off stage. And he'd be in there, right? He'd have white gloves on, practice pad. He'd be going, after a 2-hour gig, he'd be going, I said, are you all right?
After a gig?
Yes. And he'd say, oh, yeah, well, the third song I slipped up a bit, so I'm just practicing. And I thought, that's kind of... But I've known them like that.
That's obsessive, isn't
that's
it?
That's the thing about drums. I think as much as music can become obsessive, I think because it's a rhythmic thing, and there's not the tonal variation of it, it's a certain thing, and I think if you get obsessed with that, you can. Because it's like a hypnotic thing as well, isn't it?
It's right, it's good. It's a form of meditation even, isn't it? Or can be.
Yes, I suppose it's like casual drug use is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But not, casual drum use is okay.
Casual drum use is okay, yes, that's right.
But don't take it too seriously.
Yes, I think that's probably very true, actually. Don't. By the way, what sticks do you use?
Yeah, what sticks do you use now?
Fuck off, I know. Yours. Actually, I use 5As, medium weight hickory.
I use 5As.
Well, everybody uses 5As.
Medium weight, isn't it?
Yeah. 5 average, aren't they?
Top 5 drummers.
What would you say? I don't know. Keith Moon, John Bonham. Well, maybe, I don't know. I have a problem with that because there's so many individual records that I'd like, so I don't know really.
Ringo.
Yeah. The trouble is you don't know when Ringo's playing or not, do you? Because all of a sudden it's like, Paul played on that.
I think it's mostly Ringo, to be honest.
Yeah, Ringo's great, yeah.
I think it's all Ringo, actually. I think it's all just something...
it's funny because
Charlie's great, isn't he?
I should talk about modern bands, and I like, I like Guy Muse is great, but for me, also sort of the funky drummers, those two. I'm still trying to get the DVD of the two guys who played with James Brown. Just go, didn't know it like this. I've seen it once, and it's so great. Yeah. It's so great. I go on the internet and sometimes when I'm bored, I look at there's your American drummers you never heard of who are amazing technicians. Oh, this is if you want to tighten up the front head, you got to play a double paradiddle, and then you go to the toms, they go like this. And it's like, oh, fuck off, really, And then you see these two old black guys, and they're sort of inappropriately dressed with sort of weird sort of tie, they're just, and they've got really weird. One guy's got like a 16-inch tom here, and it's really weird, and they just go, we just do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and they're not moving, and there's sounds coming out. It is, and I can't find it. Somebody knows how to get
younger and younger in America. Have you seen this 3-year-old more recently?
Oh, listen, I've seen the one on YouTube, which was really weird. I'm sort of an animated puppet, mate. It can't be a real person. It's a little Chinese kid.
Yeah.
He's going... When I was at the drum thing the other day where I saw you, there was some kid there. I really hated him. He was a precocious little shit.
All right.
Sorry, mate. But he was... he wasn't particularly good, but it's just the way he was playing with it. He was like one of those weird things. He was a child who's playing like a grown-up. And he had really long hair. He also had some hippie parents. And he was like, he was his...
Sweet shot time, yeah.
Yeah, but he was good. I mean, he could play.
He was really good.
But it was the way he was playing. He wasn't like one of these kids who'd been, had a lesson. He was like, really performing, hitting the cymbals and doing this. His hair was all over the place. It was like watching a little John Bonham, but
So he'd gone to the London drum show, specifically to perform.
I think he's going to get beaten up when he's older, because he looks like one of those guys who just is not aware of anybody else. But sorry about that. But so it was interesting. So I think one problem is definitely true. People think, oh, drums, that's easy.
Yeah, used to play the drums.
I was talking to someone the other day, and it's really nice. When somebody says to you, it's like, you know what, drums, how do you do it? And it's nice that, because everybody seems to think it's easy, don't they? Especially other musicians. They all sit down. And, I've got a friend of mine who can play everything, but it's just the way he plays it, oh, fuck, what is missing? Yeah, you can play, all this business. And somebody said to me, I don't know how you do it. And I thought, yeah, fucking right.
You do have it, it's that, all that, isn't it? People do, well, I nearly did it. What are you up to at the moment, John?
Me? Well, I've been playing with this band, local band, which is guys that have been playing for ages. They're great. I mean, they really are misfits. I mean, they're serious. I don't mean socially. I mean, they just look a bit, And that's been really good. And because I've got this garage, and I'm lucky to have a garage. We can actually rehearse in the garage, and they all live locally. It's brilliant. So simple.
Like going back to the beginning.
I work with a couple of friends of mine, but apart from that, it's a bit. Music-wise, I had a studio which I sold to Primal Scream. I know Bobby really well. I don't really like studio work, so that's the trouble. I don't like it.
You prefer live?
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. People say come and do some writing and stuff, and I still write a bit, but it's not so much there. Not so. What do you talk about at my age? Divorce, mortgage, kids. It's not very interesting. But I've just decided now that I'd like to play at least once a week if I can. Because I tell you something, nothing's changed in my life if I don't play those drums. Yeah.
So what if the Culture Club thing happens?
Well, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. Another way, it fills me full of dread in one way for many reasons. But of course I'd like to do it. But there again, what you don't want nothing to the extreme either.
So you need to build up.
There's two things about this business, right? I really believe, is that when you're young, you're a creative artist. Mm-hmm. When you're old, well, not old, but when you're above a certain age, whatever that, let's say 50, you're an entertainer. Mm. You're an entertainer, and you should be doing things in a professional, entertaining way.
And the only way to do that is when you're comfortable.
Exactly. I really believe that, and it should be a pleasure.
Yeah, because if it
for everyone, it should be a pleasure for you, pleasure for the audience. Of course, you're doing it. It's a profession. You're doing it to make money, but it should be a.
It shouldn't be grueling. It shouldn't be frantic.
Oh, the thing about this business, it doesn't. All the old adages and all the old cliches aren't really there anymore. It doesn't have to be like that. It's changed.
That's what so many people have said.
It's changed. It's not like it was. I tell you, to be honest with you, the idea of making an album now, I just think, the fuck, am I going to make an album? I tell you, my kids don't know albums. I don't care about albums. My 10-year-old doesn't know what a CD is. You go like that, and he goes.
That's where you keep your photographs albums.
Not even that, no.
That's where your mum keeps them, or your grandparents kept their photographs.
So I think that, the whole ideas change. And it's amazing how many people who, are still quite heavily involved in music still haven't caught on to that. I know a lot of people have, but people haven't. I think they're holding on to it, So it's a different era. But what's good about these is it's something like a fountain pen, that won't go away.
Yeah, it'll never go away.
At school, you've got your computer and everything, but you still have to have a fountain pen. You still have to use your fountain pen. There's no reason for it. It's old-fashioned, but you have to use a fountain pen. This is the fountain pen of the music business. It's always going to be. Nothing will replace these. They've tried for years, right? Or us. So fuck you, right?
Fountain pen of the music.
We're going to be here forever,
folks.
Listen, it all started with this in Africa.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll finish with this, right?
That's the way people spoke.
Okay.
That and smoke signals.
As it comes down, the Al Qaeda bomb or whatever it is, will be going. Maybe.
Mad, bad, and dangerous.
Yes, it's rubbish. Don't buy it. It's crap. It's absolutely nonsense.
It's all lies, isn't it?
It's all lies. It's all lies. No, it's a very good book. It's nice. It's all nicely packaged as well. Shiny.
Would you like the packaging?
I do like the packaging. Yes.
If we did another one, would you like to get involved?
Yes. I don't know what else I have to say. I'm still around. There isn't a picture of me in here, is there?
Yes, there is.
Is there?
I think so.
No, I don't think I sent you one. I think George burnt them all, so I couldn't.
Did he?
I think that's possibly.
George burnt them all.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
John, thanks for coming along.
All right, pleasure.
And talking
nice
to us
see
at the Horns here in Watford. And hope to see
well.
you again and pop along here and have a play or something.
I'd love to. I want to play your kit.
Of course, the cymbal set up slightly strangely because we're filming. I will tell you that,
yes,
folks.
Yes, we have a... Yes.
Thanks, John.
Cheers, bye. Thanks a lot, mate.
Oh, hi. Still raining. Hope you enjoyed that second part of our interview with John Moss of Culture Club. For the first part on all our videos, check it out over there. And next up, great drummer Jimmy Copley. He's played with all sorts, including Tears for Fears, Jeff Beck and Manfred Mann. In the meantime, please always remember to like, subscribe and share with all your friends. Apparently, we're going to have a great tomato crop this year.
We've just done that.
Yeah, exactly. and then play it. And then the American guy would go, well, you're not playing the bass drum, you're not playing a triplet where it should be. And you go, okay, no. And then they do it, and you go, well, that sounds really good, but it's so boring.
For the first part, check it out over there with all our other videos.
Do it again, but I love the fact that when you point, you're pointing with a trowel.
Yeah, okay.
It just looks brilliant.
All right. Last month, I caught up with my friend John Moss from Culture Club at the Horns, and we did a... Oh, hi there. Still raining. Hope you enjoyed that first part of our... Right, here we go, keep going. If you haven't seen the first part of that interview, check it out down below. If not...
That was good.
Not. If you haven't seen it, enjoy the second part.
If you have.
Next up is great drummer Jimmy Copley, who's played with a load of people like Tears for Fears, Jeff Beck,
Manfred Mann.
Manfred Mann. I better do it again, haven't I?